The IROC Z pace car with Little John will pull away from the field. They are set and ready. The mighty Winston Racing Series Modifieds here at the Stafford Motor Speedway. In rows of two, they head down the back straightaway. The pace car will pull away from the starting grid. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the Winston Racing Series Modifieds of the Stafford Motor Speedway. Off turn number 4, it's double green and going. Mike Paquette leads him into turn number 1. It is Paquette who sets the pace and dominates the racing action heading towards turn 2. The Fletch will work his way to the inside. Moving in is Bob Potter before they head into turn number 3 down the back straightaway. It is car number 06 who sets the pace and dominates the racing action at the front of the field. But here comes the veteran and former champion Potter working his way to the inside with car number 50. Bob Potter now works his way into the number 3 spot. He puts the pedal to the metal. Bo Gunning looks strong with car number 1. It is still Paquette who leads him down the back straightaway.
Into turn number 3, Paquette with car number 06 has the advantage. Fletcher runs in the second spot with the 56. Right behind him, it is the 50. They take it nice and easy into turn number 1. Everybody runs pretty much single file for the first 4 or 5 spots, and then they start to stack it up. Some of the cars making a run to the front is Mike Christopher in the 82. Here comes Teddy up on the high side as they begin to work their way back off of turn number 4.
But currently the challenge on the racetrack is currently for position number 2. It is Bob Potter who works his way to the bottom. Potter is now up to second, and now Barry is working his way to the inside, and Barry now takes over position number 3. Jeff Barry is on a roll, but look at Bo Gunning, the strongest forward in the field of the Winston Racing Series Modifieds, now sets in position number 5. Trouble now. Smoke comes from beneath the right rear tire of car number 61 for Dan Beaupre. Beaupre, who is the 6th car currently on the racetrack, has a problem. He will be forced out of the competition. But don't count out Shawanski, Mike Christopher, Glenn Sullivan, or Ted Christopher, as Christopher's working his way back to contend at the front of this field. It is car number 06 still in command. But here comes Potter. Potter works his way again, takes a peek at it on the inside lane. But Mike is the man who holds on to the number 1 spot. 5-lap show on the Winston Racing Series scoreboard. It is Mike who sets the pace at the front of the field. He's pressured heavily as once again the challenge is on. To the inside, it is car number 50. Potter can't do it this time, and now here comes Bo Gunning with car number 1.
Meanwhile, back up front, a challenge develops for the lead as Bob Potter sticks the nose of car number 50 way down low into turn 3. Potter trying to make a move, but we've got problems over in turn number 3.
It is the Kohler machine that goes around in turns 1 and 2, and Eddie Spires is also involved in the mix-up there, bring out the first caution of the event with 6-lap showing on the Winston Racing Series scoreboard. Car number 31X is the car that would bring out the caution. They wind him up off turn number 4, come back to the line. It's the veteran Potter in command into turn number 1.
Back under green flag conditions, and Bobby does just that, Ben. He leads the field through the first and second. Turns up for grabs now is the 2nd spot. Right now, it is the 06 of Paquette out in front, running in the 2nd spot, the 22 of Jeff Barry. Bo Gunning all the way up to the position number 4 with the 57 of Shawanski rounding out the top 5. Then it is Ted Christopher, Mike Christopher, and Glenn Sullivan in that order.
Jeff Barry makes a bold move to try to run the bottom. He changes his mind rather suddenly and tucks it back into position number 3. Shawanski and Ted Christopher go at it down the back straightaway, but Mike Christopher is definitely considered a factor here. Off the 4th turn, when they come back to the line, it's still Potter who leads the charge of heavy open-wheel modifieds into turn number 1. Jeff Barry still sets in the 3rd spot. He takes a peek again at the bottom. Here comes Shawanski, shock felt further back in the pack. Ted Christopher, Mike Christopher, Glenn Sullivan, and Willie Hardy get crossed up, and look out, here comes the Reg. It is Reggie Ruggiero, who's now among the top 10 cars and threading the needle also, as Ruggiero moves to the inside with car number 44.
Back to the front, it is the 50 out in front, leading this field by about 4 car lengths. Potter having a good run here this afternoon. Jeff Barry is really working over the rear bumper of the 06 of Mike Paquette as they exit turn number 4. Bo Gunning with his hands full as Steve Shawanski is there. Ted and Mike Christopher also knocking on the door with a long way left to go in this 35-lap feature event for the Winston Racing Series Modified. Christopher now down to the low side of Shawanski as they head back to turn number 3. Meantime, the 22 of Jeff Barry posting a challenge for the second spot off turn 4.
Off the fourth turn, Bo Gunning is holding off the challenges of Shawanski. On the last circuit around on turn number 4, Gunning literally waved to Shawanski, says, "You shouldn't go through me, you have to go around." And the Ford will lead Shawanski and Christopher. Dan Beaupre has tagged the wall just off turn number 4. Left side suspension is the story on car number 61, a car that once started up front in the competition in this event.
Or followed by Dale Shaw, Randy McDonald, and Billy Clark.
But they do come together. Let's see if it'll have any factor. Green flag comes out. Here comes Jeff Barry to the inside. Is this going to be the real start, or will we go to yellow?
Looks like we're going to go for the gusto here, but we've got problems developing already as Mike Campochetti takes car number 5 for a ride down through the infield. A terrific job of driving for Michael as he keeps the car headed in one direction. We remain under green, a cloud of dust, a Hardy Hi-O silver, but here comes Bob Potter off the turn. The yellow flag, however, is out. There appears to be something on the racetrack as Chris Hopkins was. Well, there certainly is something on the racetrack as we have 3 cars involved. Bo Gunning, Jerry Savage, and it looks like the 86 of Bob Georgitis.
Well, perhaps Chris Hopkins saw more than a lot of us had seen in turn number 1.
Just a beautiful race car to begin with. And it is one that gets a lot of attention because it happens to be the only Ford-powered car. And boy, that baby, when it's hooked up, it runs.
They pick up the pace just a bit. We're ready to go back to green. And off that fourth turn, it's Bob Potter looking as sharp as he did when he took over the lead as he brings them back to the line.
Potter has been a mainstay in the Winston Racing Series Modified Division. And Potter, once again, wastes no time in opening up an advantage. He brings the field down that long back straightaway, heading for turn 3. Right directly behind him, the 22 of young Jeff Barry out of Fitchville. Then Steve Shawanski, car number 57, runs in the 3rd spot. Mike Paquette, the independent runner out of Naugatuck, Connecticut, doing a real heads-up job holding on to 4th. But here comes the man who has picked up every record there is to be had in this division. The 13 of Ted Christopher drops underneath the Paquette machine off of turn number 4. Christopher has moved into the top 4 and sets his sights on the lead.
No question about it. Ted Christopher is on his way to the front of this field, but so isn't Reggie Ruggiero. Ruggiero tucks it down low underneath Mike Paquette. He tries to take over position number 6 as they head down the back straightaway. It is still Bob Potter in command. Barry still runs in 2nd. Shawanski's up to 3. 4th is Ted Christopher. Brother Mike sets in 5th, and 6th is now Reggie Ruggiero.
Some of the other cars trying to make a run towards the front of this pack are the 3X of Ed Spires. Jerry Pearl, who had Richie Gallup qualify the car yesterday, is on a roll. Pearl has picked up a feature event here at the Stafford Speedway this season. Car number 8 with Phil Rondo on board is also a machine that has proven that combination can get the job done. Willie Hardy out of Willington in car number 21, also trying to make it to the front, as is the driver who won the last feature event of the regular season, the 93 of Brad Thrall. So a lot of action deep in the pack as the leaders continue to slug it out amongst themselves. The top 4 exit turn number 4. Bob Potter continues to lead.
Ted Christopher is now all over the back bumper of Shawanski. He wants a piece of position number 3. He puts there that Christopher might have had a problem with car number 82. The Reg is on the move. He is up to 5. Reggie Ruggiero heads to the front of the class. This time by halfway to down, halfway to go.
35 laps is the scheduled distance, and right now, Bobby Potter, who is the 1988 champion here at the Speedway, leads the field down the back straightaway. Jeff Barry, who picked up a win at the very beginning of this season, has managed to put together his most successful season yet, runs in that 2nd spot. The Shawanski automobile, which was brand new at the beginning of the year, in fact won Best Appearing Award at a show very early in the season, runs in that 3rd position. And of course, Ted Christopher, what more can be said about the Sanitary Services car number 13, a man who has almost had sole possession of Victory Lane in the 1989 season. 19 laps on the scoreboard.
No question about it. Look a little further back. We see Glenn Sullivan coming to life with car number 34. He works his way, but at the front of this car lanes behind. Trouble now in turn number 2. We've got one around. It looks like car number...
Mishap on the restart. Got down into the infield and was trying to... The flag is just about to come out. Here it comes, and there goes Bobby Potter one more time. He jumps out in front. The hot spot now is for 2nd. 4 cars run under a blanket. battling it out for position number 2.
4 cars are there, and only one will take over position number 2. It is Shawanski with car number 57. Jeff Berry, by force, gets dropped back to the 4th spot. Reggie Ruggiero shows his modified tour talents as he now works his way into position number 3. Challenge is on. Here comes Ted Christopher. He saw the Reg do it, and he wants that spot badly as they head into turn number 1. Literally, the top 10 cars run bumper to bumper, single file, and won't be that way for long. 21-lap show. It's Bob Potter bringing him back to the line.
So far, we've managed to seriously shuffle that deck behind Potter, but he has been the man at the head of the class all afternoon with car number 50, and we're well into the second half of this 35-lap feature event. The question on everybody's mind, however, is can the Reg get up there and challenge Potter? Right now, it doesn't appear as though anyone else in the field is in a position to do that. But we'll find out as the laps begin to tick away, because Ruggiero is all over the rear bumper of Steve Shawanski's 57.
No doubt about it. When they head into turn number 1, where the Reg looked for some...
As Christopher dives to the inside of the Jeff Barry car. Between 3 and 4, Christopher hugs the bottom side of the racetrack. Barry tries to hold it down tight, but at the line, Christopher has the advantage. He makes another move a little bit closer to the front with car number 13. The 22, however, of Barry, not about to give up 1 square inch of asphalt, and we've got car number 05 of Mike Capricetti back into the infield.
Capricetti is okay, and we are still at green. Off the 4th turn, Teddy Christopher moves in to contend. He now takes over the 4th spot. Trouble now in turn number 4.
We've got 3 cars that have gone around over here. Bob Mercier, it is the 8 ball, the 179 of Jensen, and it appears to be the 8 of Phil Rondo. And we also have some debris. It looks like part of someone's Nerf bar or a bumper up near the wall, right between or just about halfway through turn 4.
And he is up for it, and we're sure that he intimidates some of the competition. Remember, he is one of the superstars of the NASCAR Modified Tour.
Green flag back out. Here they come off the 4th turn, and it is Bob Potter once again, but glued to his rear bumper is the 44. Reggie Ruggiero dives into the second spot.
Down the front straightaway, Bob Mercier slams the wall hard with car number 8. Through the smoke in the melee, there is possibly another car involved in the mix-up. It is just the number 8 ball of Bob Mercier. It almost appeared that the engine let go or something as he would slam the wall at a ton, just about 100 feet to the right of the start-finish line, as Mercier was also running among the top 10 cars.
We could be ready for a start.
Well, Russ, it's less than the distance of a qualifying heat, but the money is much, much greater. When they come to the line, it is still Potter who leads the field, as Reggie Ruggiero has now moved into position number 2. Ruggiero on the bottom. He slips and he slides just a bit as he headed through the speedy dry. But the Reg has now position number 2. Here comes Jeff Berry into the 3 spot.
The big loser because of the speedy dry was the 57 of Shawanski. That car got very loose. He was able to hold on to it. It did cost him a spot, but he's battling back to try to take it away now from Jeff Barry as they head back to turn number 1.
No question about it. Potter now has his hands full. He is hunted down by Reggie Ruggiero with car number 44. Shawanski moves back into the number 3 spot with ease. Barry sets in 4. 5th is Teddy Christopher, and 6 is Mike Paquette, with Mike Christopher being hunted down by about 10 other competitors looking for his spot.
They run pretty much nose to tail in the closing stages of this feature event. Shawanski and Barry playing a little game of bumper tag, and now it is the 13 of Christopher up to challenge for the position. Christopher looks to the low side of Barry's number 22. Can't make the move this time, and Shawanski takes a quick peek to the inside of Reggie Ruggiero's car. Meanwhile, out in the front, it is Bob Potter all by his lonesome with car number 50. Potter has been the class of the field, and only 5 laps remain to be run in this 35-lap feature event here this afternoon. 30 down, 5 to go. It is Bob Potter out in front. Reggie Ruggiero runs in the 2nd spot. Steve Shawanski, Jeff Barry, the 13 of Ted Christopher, the 06 of Mike Paquette, the 82 of Mike Christopher, the 21 of Willie Hardy, and the 34 of Glenn Sullivan. Brad Thrall has managed to move up next, followed by Eddie Spires, Jerry Pearl, Dave Kohler. 1, Shawanski takes it in deep, gets right around sideways, and it was a tough gamble, and he lost. Shawanski got in a little too deep and dropped from 3rd all the way back to the 5th spot behind the 06 of Paquette. Next time by, the white flag will be out. as the leaders have just been shown the 2-lap marker from starter Chris Hopkins. Reggie Ruggiero slows just a bit. He allows Jeff Barry to pull up alongside. Can he hold on to the spot for one more lap? Here they come off the turn, and Reggie leads them across the line to hold on to that second position. Breathing right down his neck is the 22 of Jeff Barry and the 13 of Ted Christopher. Back to turn number 3. It's the 50. Off the 4th turn, heading back to the line. Car number 50 for Bobby Potter, followed by Reggie Ruggiero, the 13 of Christopher, the 22 of Barry, the 06 of Mike Paquette, and the 57 of Steve Shawanski, the 06 of Mike Paquette. Into the 6th spot is the 57 of Shawanski, followed by the 82 of Mike Christopher, and Brad Thrall moves up from starting deep in the field to finish 8th in car number 93. That, of course, as we said,
Gentlemen, let's give him a nice round of applause. Bob Potter, winner of the Winston Racing Series Coca-Cola Fall Final. But today you really had your work cut out for you. You were up front at a good starting spot, but they still made you work for it. Reggie Ruggiero and the rest of the gang were right there to contend in the closing laps, but it seemed that you just got even quicker.
Well, the car was going good all day yesterday, too. We were a little loose in the rear, so we took some gear out, and I didn't know if it was going to hurt us or not, but we tried it anyway, figuring we could get out front early, and it seemed to pay off.
Bob, a year ago, right here in Victory Lane at the Coca-Cola Fall Final, you showed me a penny that you found, and you had it taped to the cowl of the car. That was last year when you not only secured the win, but you secured the championship. Was that penny riding out there with you today?
Well, I think there's a penny on the firewall out there.
So the story is pretty much the same. A lot of special people. This was a borrowed automobile from Joe Catania that helped make the magic here on this weekend.
Well, we got wrecked about a month and a half ago up here, and Joe, loaned us his car, which was a swell thing to do. The car's real fast anyway, and I really appreciate what he's done for me and the crew, and I want to thank all my crew too, because they did a hell of a job, and it's just been great. And
congratulations, very deserving of another victory. Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Potter, winner of the Winston Racing Series Modified portion of the Coca-Cola Fall Final. Back upstairs to you, Russ.
Okay, Ben, thank you very much. And as you can see, rolling out onto the racetrack is the feature event for the late model stock cars. And here is how they are slated to go to post. Starting up front is going to be car number 5. The field works its way now toward turn number 2, and we can anticipate a green the next time by.
Poirier and Roy Scott Hanks, Herb Bennett and Tommy Fern, Cliff Stakey and Wade Gagner. It's up to Chris Hopkins, high atop the starter stand, off turn number 4. They come to the line evenly matched. It is Tag who leads them into turn number 1.
Tom Tag jumps out in front very, very early in the event. Tag, of course, a real strong contender in this division, will set the pace down the back straightaway. Here comes the 5 of Bob Badura to run in that second spot. Zintarski, not satisfied, running third at all. He takes a look to the low side. Can't make the move, but Zintarski wants to get to the front of this pack very quickly as they exit turn 4 to complete lap 1.
No question about it. Into turn number 1, it is car number 8. Shawanski is being pressured heavily now. Now the challenge is on. Zintarski goes to the inside of Bob Badura. He puts the hammer down the back straightaway. Can't quite do it yet. Here comes Poirier to the outside.
They work their way through turns 3 and 4 down to the low side. It is the 8 of Zintarski putting up the battle. He and Poirier swapping a little bit of paint as they head back to turn number 1. Scott Poirier has a slight advantage entering the turn, but here comes Zintarski down low. He gets hooked up nicely, and Zintarski pulls back into the third spot and will try to the low side of Badura one more time.
No question about it. Tom Tag is doing a masterful job of setting the pace at the front of the field. About a car lane separates him from the number 2 contender, and that's Bob Badura with car number 5.
It's almost...
Starsky makes the bid to run the bottom side of the racetrack. Can't quite do it this time, but there's Tag, the leader of the pack, as they head down the back straightaway.
It's anybody's guess how things will end up behind Tag, however, as they really begin to slice and dice, looking for running room, trying to find a way to get to the front of this pack. Right now, Bob Badura in car number 5 holds on to that second position with the 8 of Chuck Zintarski running right there on his rear bumper. Next is the 21 of Scott Poirier. Some of the other heavy hitters trying to make their way through. The 92 of Tom Fern. Tony Sylvester in the 38. Here comes Rick Shawn and Norm Plantier along with a 7 of Gagner, to mention just a few.
Sparks will fly. Smoke will come off the wheels of car number 02 as Roy Scott Hanks now works his way to try to take over position number 5. Here's Jerry Kanopka, who sits on the outside. Tommy Fern, the defending champion from Riverside Park Speedway. He is just out of contention there. He runs to the inside groove. Here comes Herb Bennett. Don't count out Cliff Stakey or Tony Sylvester. They too are coming to the front of the field. 5 laps are now complete. 4 cars have moved away from the remaining pack of the field as they come back to the line. Here's the leader of the pack. It is still Tommy Tag, Bob Badura, and it is Chuck Zintarski who makes a bid for it again down low.
Tag, of course, has the lead as he exits turn number 2 to head down that long back straightaway. Those first 4 cars run almost bumper to bumper. Herb Bennett kicks up a little dust over on the back straightaway, but everybody makes it through, and they continue to run under the green flag conditions.
No question about it. Into turn number 1, it is Tom Tag who's still looking good. Now suddenly Wade Gagner gets crossed up. He gets bounced around and he gets squeezed to the inside of the racetrack, loses about 8 positions on the track itself. Here comes Scott Poirier. He puts some pressure on. Further back in the pack, there's a new challenge on. In car number 12, it is the Caruso machine, has some severe body damage done to it. Here comes Brian McCarthy to the inside. They come off the turn. Look at the right side of car number 12. The body will tell the story on the Caruso machine as he ends in turn 1.
If that's any indication of just how rocky a road his marriage is going to be, you better forget it at this point. It's been a rough afternoon thus far and only 8 laps old for Art Caruso in car number 12. Meanwhile, Rondo has managed to pull ahead, and you can see a lot of smoke now coming from the right rear quarter of the Caruso car as sheet metal gets right down rubbing against the tire.
Meanwhile, a look to the front of the field. We've got Scott Poirier down underneath Bob Badura. It is Zintarski who's now up to position number 2. Poirier has to settle for 3. 4th is Badura, and 5th becomes the problem spot on the racetrack. It is car number 02 for Roy Scott Hanks, who holds on to that 5th spot, but he is pressured heavily by Tommy Fern and the number 66 of Cliff Stakey and the 38 of Sylvester. Sylvester tries to run the outside groove. He tries to muscle up some steam. Art Caruso out of the competition with car number 12. But the real battle is for position number 5. It is Roy Scott Hanks with now Sylvester running to the outside as they head off turn 4.
Sylvester gets hooked up very nicely in the high groove, and he will lead the field in that group across the start-finish line as Sylvester has now managed to move into the top 5 and will head to the front, but we've got a yellow flag condition as we have a car spun over at the exit of turn number 2.
It is car number 88 for Bobby Skinger of the Story of Auto Racing attached to them. As we go back to green, Tommy Tag was not sleeping on the start. This birthday boy wants the cake that awaits him in Victory Lane, and he is the leader of the field in turn 1.
He takes the field right directly back to turn 1, kicks up a little bit of dust in the process. Zintarski is right on his rear bumper as they exit turn 2, as is the 21 of Scott Poirier. Here they come down the back straightaway. It is the 3 into the turn ahead of the rest. However, look at the battle now for that second spot. They're side by side off the turn. Here they come back to the line. Who will it be? It is Zintarski by inches.
Trouble now. Jason Manafort gets crossed up. He goes down through the dust and the dirt through the infield. He is okay out of harm's way. Down the back straightaway, here comes Cliff Stakey. To the outside of Roy Scott Hanks, it is Stakey who's up to position number 5. And while that's all happening, Scott Poirier has moved into position number 2 with car number 21.
Zintarski and Poirier having a real good run at each other. Now Poirier looks to the front of the pack where he sees that red and white car number 3. They're in turn 2, heading for the backstretch. Poirier peeks to the inside, has to think better of it, tucks right back in behind the 3 of Tag. They're into turn 3. Off
the turn, once again, they've tightened things back up as they come to the line. The leader still remains Tag, but he is pressured heavily by Poirier and Zantarski. Zantarski looks to go to the outside. Bob Bonur is still in the 4th spot. Stakey's up to 5. Here's a bid for the lead. It is Scott Poirier to the inside of Tommy Tag down the back straightaway.
They run deep into turn number 3. Poirier down on the low side with the 21. And it is Tag on the high side. And as they exit turn number 4, Poirier gets right around sideways, but holds on to the lead.
They're going to try to make it 3 wide as they head into turn number 2. It is Poirier now in command of the event. Zantarski waits in the wings. And now Brian McCarthy and Ricky Shawn have moved into the top 10. They too are heading to the front of the field. Scott Poirier becomes leader number 2. Zantarski drops back to 2nd. 3rd spot is Tommy Tag, once the leader of the event as they come back to the line.
Some of the other heavy hitters now finding their way a little bit closer to the front. The 8X of Rick Shawn has moved well into the top 10. The 41 of Brian McCarthy and the 19 of Rondo. Also the 14 of Norm Plantier and the 92 of Tom Fern. All of those cars still trying to get towards the front of this pack. 16 laps are complete. 25 is the distance. We're into the final stages of this one, Ben, and right now, Scott Poirier appears to be headed for his first win of the season here at the Stafford Speedway.
There's no question about that. He is looking very, very strong at the front of this field, but don't count out the chain of cars that follows. Trouble now. We've got one around to the inside of turn number 2.
And it looks like we will run under green for just another second or two. Suddenly the yellow comes out as the 47 of Fox refires and will pull back up. Lights are out around the speedway. The pace car is in, and it looks like we could get a go. In fact, we do. Green flag is back out off the turn. Here comes car number 21. Scott Poirier will lead them back to the line, and up to 2nd once again is the 3 of Tom Tag.
Well, Tom Tag decided that he liked position number 1 so much he wasn't going to give up position number 2 with ease. But Chuck Zantarski likes the number 2 spot too. He now inches back into 2nd. Cliff Stakey is up to the 4th position. Ricky Shawn is on a roll once again, and right to the inside of him is Brian McCarthy. They are literally 3 wide as they come off turn number 4. Shawn is stuck in the middle, and that doesn't seem to scare him a bit as they head into turn number 1.
Very little phases Rick Shawn in a race car as he knows what to do. He knows to put the hammer down and turn left. Here comes Brian McCarthy in car number 41. McCarthy now moves into the top 5 as he slides that blue and white machine, the Swiss Stack and Wood entry, down underneath Rick Shawn. Shawn, however, keeps a smooth line and is able to motor ahead as both drivers are able to get by the 66 of Stakey.
In less than 6 circuits, we'll know the end results of who is the very best in the Coca-Cola Fall Final for the late model division. Scott Poirier is the man that holds down the number 1 spot, the most desired spot of the field, but Zantarski, Tag, and Shawn and Brian McCarthy are right there, and there's still plenty of time left as they come back to the line.
5 laps to go for your leader, and your brand new leader is Chuck Zantarski as the Polish Rocket takes car number 8 off the 2nd turn and heads down the back straightaway. This time he is in command of the entire event. Zantarski out in front. Scott Poirier, who had led for so long, has been relegated to the 2nd spot. 3rd is the 3 of Tom Tag, followed by the 8 of Shawn, the 41 of McCarthy, and the 66 of Stakey. Norm Plantier and Bobby Gomo get tangled together as Gomo ends up with a flat left rear tire on car number 16. The 99 of Konopka back into the pit area. Back to the lead automobile off of turn number 4. Here he comes. It is the 8 of Chuck Zantarski, followed by the 21 of Scott Poirier. Zantarski, nice and easy through turns 1 and 2. As Tag and the 41 of McCarthy begin to light up that right rear tire. This time by, Chris Hopkins holds the 2-lap marker high in the air. We have 2 circuits left to run. The final 2 for Chuck Zantarski. Zantarski, Poirier, the battle for 3rd is anybody's guess. It's a 3-way run. Down on the inside is McCarthy. Up on the high side is the 8 of Rick Shawn. Make that the 3 of Tag, rather, as they work turns 3 and 4. Shawn is right there in the rear bumper of McCarthy. White flag is out. We've got one more time around. Off the 2nd turn, heading down the back straightaway all by himself. It is car number 8. into turn 3. He works his way through 3 off the 4th turn, heading back to the start-finish line. Checkered flag is out. And to take down the win, it is car number 8 for Chuck Zintarski. Finishing in the 2nd spot is car number 21. That is Scott Poirier, who is right behind him. And the 3rd place car is the blue and white car number 41 for Brian McCarthy.
And he heads to Winston Victory Lane here at the Speedway. Chuck, that was an easy one. It looked like perhaps you were planning your strategy to come on late in the event. Is that what you were doing? Tommy Tagg led for a while. You didn't really pressure him. Then all of a sudden, what happened? Poirier just kind of moved aside and let you on through.
Well, I learned from last week, you got to save your tires for the end of the race. That's why I try to pace myself in the beginning of the race and give it all at the end. I seen Poirier was loose come off the turn, so I took advantage of it and I snuck under him. And I just pulled him down the straightaway, and that was it, all she wrote.
Well, an impressive job, and there must be a lot of special people associated with that car that you want to congratulate and thanks.
Yeah, I'd like to thank my whole crew, all my sponsors. I got a list of them. I don't know if we have time to name them all, but M&W Landscaping, the Grand Trucking, Veteran Sheet Metal, a whole bunch of them. Without their support and money, we wouldn't be here today.
You've had a pretty impressive 1989 season. What's in store for 1990 for Chuck Zintarski?
You're going to have to ask my wife that. I don't know. We might stick just to one track next year. We don't know what track.
Well, it's a real pleasure to have you here in the winner's circle. Congratulations once again. Mark Arute up here to congratulate you. I'll step down. We'll turn things back upstairs to Russ Dow.
Thank you, Ben. And just a couple of things before we take a break here so that we can set up infield pitting and stage the NASCAR Modified Tour automobiles. We would like to, first of all, make sure that you have your copy of the Coca-Cola Pit Stop. Not had an opportunity to check this out. We have a completely restored Richie Evans Pinto Body Modified. And of course, Richie, a 9-time national champion, and one of his cars on hand with us here today as we celebrate the memory of the late great champion here at the Stafford Motor Speedway.
The drivers are strapping into the automobile. I've got John ready down here. In just a moment, we'll give the official command to start this event. To the start-finish line, it is with great pride and pleasure that I introduce to you our Grand Marshal with the official command. John, give it your best.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
stand on. We'll cheer them as they cross the start-finish line. We're going to look for a start the next time by.
The man of the NASCAR Winston Modified Tour gives a send-off from the fans here at Stafford. This is the final event at the Stafford Motor Speedway, and the fans have come out in full force. The Coca-Cola Fall Final. Pace car at the front of the field. It'll pull away slowly, and we should be set for the start of this, the Fall Final.
Our chief starter is Chris Hopkins, Bill Long, the assistant, and we are ready to go. Then the pace car drops to the inside. Here comes Brian Ross, leading the field off of turn number 4. They address themselves to the start-finish line. Chris Hopkins stares them down, and he winds them up and lets them go.
With all the glitz and chrome, they headed to turn number 1. Getting both to Tommy York, Brian Ross to set the pace. Ross pulls away, but here comes George Kent already into the inside to try to take over second from young Tommy Bowles.
Bowles hangs tough on the outside, and as they go into turn number 3, Bowles has an advantage by a couple of feet off the 4th turn. Here they come. Bowles hooked up nicely on the outside. He moves into second. Kent gets dropped back into 3rd.
Tom Bowles moves back into position number 2. Right there on his back bumper is George Kent, and Donald Satch-Worley is on the move. Suddenly, car number 1, Tony Hirschman, drops off the pace just a bit. He tucks him back into position number 6. Double file racing for the 7th, 8th, and 9th spot. Kenny Bouchard makes a bold in forward on the outside of car number 3. Can't do it this time.
A field 30 cars strong rumbles around the half mile here at the Stafford Motor Speedway with Brian Ross out of Ballston Spa, New York, setting the pace deep into turn number 3. Then Brian's been able to open up a couple of car length advantage already. Only 2 laps are posted, and Ross so far appears to be in good shape.
A little further back in the pack, we see Teddy Christopher trying to run the bottom with car number 37. A lot of challenges, a lot of shuffling of the deck. There is still plenty of time left. Charlie Pastriak in the back of the pack gets a little out of shape, but right there at the front of the field, Ross has not lost any ground whatsoever. He has been leading this event by about 2 car lengths, and he continues to do so. But the story for Tommy Bowles is a whole different page in the chapter of success here at Stafford.
Better remember, several years ago, Brian ran here as an independent. He owned his own race car, the orange number 73. And Brian Ross had the unique ability to take that car right to the very bottom of this racetrack and make it stick like glue. We're going to see a little of that here this afternoon because he has the 69 set up so that it can run in the low group or it can run up high. Brian is a master at handling.
There is no question about that. Any time for Brian Ross. Running in the number 2 spot is the number 76 of Tommy Bowles. 3rd is George Kent. 4th is
River Marina Stables. Right behind him is, of course, the 44 of Reggie Ruggiero as a
Fuller. That's a good battle shaping up there. But look at Reggie Ruggiero. Ruggiero is down underneath Donald Satch-Worley. There's the bid for position number 4. Off the turn, Ross still leads him back to the line, but Kent, Ruggiero, and Worley are the men to contend with. Look at that battle into turn number 1, Russ.
Reggie's down on the low side of the racetrack, and now he tries to make a move not only past Worley, but he tried to set up George Kent. Kent could see what was going on in the mirror, used up just enough racetrack to hold Reggie at bay. Here comes Worley battling back on the outside. This is what modified racing is all about. The open wheel, high-powered ground pounders as they rumble around the half mile at Stafford.
Satch-Worley is trying to run the outside groove. Reggie Ruggiero knows that the inside lane is the quickest. Well, it's not the quickest down the straightaways, but he seems to have enough power to be able to pull. Satch-Worley has run the outside. You'll see him making contact as they come off the turn. Here comes Ruggiero back into the hunt. Worley is hung out to drive, and that gives Ruggiero the spot with car number 44.
Now, keep in mind, this battle that we're watching is the battle for 3rd. George Kent.
Now, we've got one around. It is car number 27 in the back of the pack for Jerry Marquis out of Enfield, Connecticut, who goes spinning in turn number 4. First caution of the event comes out on lap number 18. There's the 27. You can see it's the left rear tire that has went flat on car number 27. That's Jerry Marquis out of Enfield, Connecticut. He has been a regular runner in the Northeast Winston Regional Point standings. He has secured many a feature event victory at Monadnock Motor Raceway and Riverside Park Speedway. Today,
the 27, it is the 21 car of George Kent. Your 3rd place automobile is into the pit area, and the Art Barry Southern New England Eggs crew is out there to check the right rear tire on that machine. You can see Barry working that right rear, and now the 2X, now numbered, the 27 is in, as is Tom Baldwin with car number 7. So the pit action on lap number 20 is fast and furious.
Check out what's going on in car number 7, New York. Tom Baldwin's crew has won just about every honor that can be bestowed in pit crew competition. They get and the number 9 are also setting on pit road. The 9 of Eddie DeHaan. What happened at the Pocono International Raceway?
back straightaway, 2 by 2. The pace car will dive in, and we'll look for the first restart of this event. Brian Ross and Tom Bowles will bring the field around. They are strung out the full length of that 550-foot back straightaway as the green flag comes out from Chris Hopkins. Here they come, down to the line. Brian Ross, once again, will lead them to turn number 1.
The story is a little bit different now at the front of this field because Reggie Ruggiero is right there to contend with Brian Ross. Hirschman has now moved back into position number 3 with car number 1. As they dive deep into the third turn, Mike McLaughlin has dropped off the pace. The Coors Extra Gold machine is heading to the pit area. The story of 1989 and the points of the NASCAR Winston Modified Tour suddenly could change. McLaughlin is down on pit road.
This is an absolute pity because Mike had trouble the last several weeks. Yesterday, it looked like they had it all glued back together as McLaughlin was able to set fast time and get back out onto the racetrack in winning form. Now he's in the pits, he's down the lap, and in trouble.
So he appears to be the faster of the 2 automobiles running up front.
They work their way off that 4th turn. A huge field as they rumble around this half-mile speedway. Pretty much single file now as the modified tour cars get strung out. That battle for the lead, however, is not a cakewalk. As off of turn number 4, the lead pack rolls and rumbles. It is Brian Ross and Reggie Ruggiero to the line. Bumper to bumper, back to turn 1.
Second. Third spot is Tony Hirschman, car number 1. Fourth spot is Tommy Bowles, number 76. And then there's the hot spot. It is held down the 5th position by Don Santz-Morley with Carl Pastriak moving in.
Pastriak, as you mentioned a little bit earlier, had a tremendous run here yesterday. His first time back since a back injury. And he is out here running right on the rear bumper of Worley, doing a bang-up job. Behind him, also, a relatively new team, the 55 of
Reggie Ruggiero gets 2 wheels down under. He puts the pressure on into turn number 1, but Ross will slam the door.
He slams the door, but Reggie battles right back, pulls down to the inside of the racetrack, and now it is a 2-way run for the lead down the back straightaway into turn 3. Ruggiero down at the bottom. Ross has the high groove. Here they come, wheel to wheel, off the turn. This is the battle for the lead.
No question about it. Ross is not going to give up any of the very valuable inches of pavement here at the half mile. But Reggie Ruggiero is out in front. We've got one around in turn number 4. It looks like the number 94 of Rip Patchen, and that's going to perhaps bring out a caution. Caution car still sets on pit road. Yes, it was the number 94 for Rip Patchen, the same exact spot that we saw the number 27 spin earlier to bring out the first caution of the day.
Mike McLaughlin in the pits. It looks terminal. It's the lifters going away on the right side of the engine. Mike's unstrapping. It's been a short day and not as good as he wanted. The other thing is, watch the tires. Now, the tire rule's been changed. When we started the drivers' meeting, it was only 2 tires per change on the yellow. That rule has been suspended at the urging of the drivers, the roughness of the track, and the whole feeling of the temperature. So it could be whoever brought out the most here might have a really good chance of being on top at the end of 200 laps.
Wholesale pit action in the infield.
Also heading down pit road, and Eddie Spires with car number 38.
The first 100 laps, we will be doing double file restarts as you see right now. Reggie Ruggiero is lined up alongside of Brian Ross in row number 1, and Tom Bowles on the outside. Then it is Carl Pastriak in car number 75 inside of the 3rd row, and the pace car is in. Looks like we could get a start this time by.
Off the 4th turn, they're evenly matched when they come back to the line. Who's it going to be? It is Ross by inches, but in turn number 1, the scoring could change rather drastically. Side by side and evenly matched. It is car number 69, Brian Ross, in command of the event as they head down the back straightaway. Reggie Ruggiero right there at his back bumper. Then it's Hirschman, Tom Bowles, and Jeff Fuller. Might be a surprise to some, but what a performance so far with car number 55.
You mentioned a little bit earlier, Ben, that you can, in fact, go 200 laps on this racetrack without making a pit stop. However, the way that Brian Ross and Reggie Ruggiero are going at it right now, and Hirschman is beginning to close in on them, there's neither one of these cars, I believe, will be able to go 200 laps without making a pit stop for at least 1 tire.
Jeff Fuller has worked his way from the 12th spot. He is now a contender among the top 5 positions. interior processing number 55. He is right there behind Tommy Bowles and starting to move in. Hirschman is pacing himself. Perhaps the saddest sight here this afternoon is a look into the infield and see car number 12, a contender for the point title. Mike McLaughlin's crew have now abandoned the car. It is definitely out of the hunt for the 1989 NASCAR Modified Tour title.
And that's going to be a tough pill to swallow. Meanwhile, back for the lead, Reggie Ruggiero sticks the nose of the Teddy Bear Pools, car number 44, underneath the 69 of Brian Ross. Ross hangs tough on the outside, but as they exit the turn, Reggie almost jerk tracks the car. Brian leads by inches at the line.
Side by side, they hit it at turn number 2. Problem further back in the pack, but Reggie Ruggiero has inched out in front. It is Ruggiero, the leader of the field. Right there to contend is Brian Ross. He wants it back once again. Closer than most people park. They come on turn number 4. It is Ruggiero to emerge the leader of the pack.
Reggie picks up the lead on lap number 40. He has 160 left to go if he intends to win this event. And right now, the way he is running, and after a very, very impressive time trial yesterday, Reggie Ruggiero duke it out for position also right up there with the lead pack.
Keep your eyes on car number 15. That is the Anderson number 15. It apparently has a problem. There is liquid leaking from beneath the automobile. Back up front, Jeff Fuller is on a roll. He is up to the 4th spot. Here comes Tom Baldwin threading the needle through traffic. He goes around Kenny Bouchard and picks up a spot. Stephen Park is trying to work his way into the hunt. But there's your leader, Reggie Ruggiero, setting the pace at the front of this field.
It's amazing. Reggie was able to get underneath Brian, and yet look how close Brian can run to Reggie as they work their way through turns 3 and 4. Back to the start-finish line. Reggie Ruggiero will lead them across the line. Brian is right there just knocking at the door. You have to wonder, did Brian let him go by so that Reggie could be the one who has to park the waters and run this race the next 160 laps? Or did Reggie simply power on by and say, Brian, it's my turn?
Well, you know, there's no doubt about it that Brian Ross likes that type of strategy, and Reggie Ruggiero, he only knows one thing, and that's to run at the front of the racetrack and dominate the racing action. He is doing just that. Actually, he is starting to pull away. That is a Macbeth's-powered race car, car number 44, that is from Agawam, Massachusetts. Mario Fiore, the man that owns the car, has won just about every accolade that can be honored or given to a car owner in this business. It is showing and being put to the test.
We just caught a quick glance at a real good race. The race that's being conducted by Tony Hirschman and Jeff Fuller. They're battling right now for positions 3 and 4. Hirschman off the second turn, just got a...
Meanwhile, a little further back in the pack, we've seen Bob Park with car number 19. He's trying to run to the front of the field. Here's Jeff Fuller. He is now reeling in on the white number 1 of Tony Hirschman. That car is powered by a Bob's Auto Machine engine that is built in Bristol, Connecticut. The car itself, the driver, comes from Northampton, Pennsylvania. But right behind him is Jeff Fuller as they come back to the line. That seems to be the new hotspot on the racetrack.
Interestingly enough, when the season started, there is a real battle. Now, Fuller is down on the low side. Hirschman is able to motor on by. And again, to the viewers, the interesting thing about open-wheel racing, these cars are running inches apart. And they have these huge Goodyear tires that could, if locked together, send one of the cars 10 feet in the air.
There is no doubt about it. At the inside of the racetrack, you can see that line off the turn. We've got one car smoking. It looks like it is car number 27, which is the Jerry Marquis car that usually carries a number 2X. Apparently, he's developed some type of a problem. Meanwhile, things get a little bit out of shape further back in the pack. But there you go, one of Hirschman being hunted down by Jeff Fuller. Andy in the 4th spot. That's where the battle is now between Fuller and the Hirschman number 1. Down the back straightaway, that's the hot spot. Russ, Jeff Fuller has a lot of steam. He has now taken over position number 3.
That's a Hutter motor underneath the hood of the 55. And of course, Ron Hutter is noted for building some pretty powerful engines, and certainly showing its stuff under the hood of that car. He only 52 laps.
Well, if you look at the nature of the individuals involved, Jeff Fuller is an aggressive driver. He only knows one thing. He comes from the short tracks like the old Westboro Speedway. We're getting to the front meant giving it your all each and every time out. Tony Hirschman, he's a more polished driver. He can pace himself. He only knows one thing, and that's to be up front. When the checkered flag comes out, he won't waste the equipment to get there. There's the scoreboard, lap 54. Ruggiero is the leader. Ross is still second. Then it's Jeff Fuller and car number 1 for Tony Hirschman.
Speaking of Hirschman, he had indicated early in the season that he was not interested in running for points. He was just going to take it race for race. Suddenly, in the closing stages of the season, Hirschman is in the top 3, and now he's just out to get whatever he possibly can. So it's very interesting. The drivers that start to chase the points, some are still there, some are not. And in Hirschman's case, he almost makes it sound like he accidentally fell into it.
Well, Reggie Ruggiero has really started to string it out at the front of this field. There is about, I would say, 6 car lanes that separate him from Brian Ross. Then from Brian Ross to our third place car number 55, there was almost a full straightaways distance there. But from that point on, it's a real close competitive battle. There is no question about that. Further back in the pack, Donald Satchworley, George Kent, Bruce D'Alessandro, and a host of others are trying to work their way to contend and try to head back to the front of this field. 57 circuits are shown.
130, 135 mile an hour speeds, very, very common for the modifieds. Some are running even quicker at the end of the straightaway.
You can even see some of the banking that is on the actual straightaway itself. But look into the turn. There is the car that currently runs in the third spot, Jeff Fuller. He is running past some lapped automobiles. These are cars that are not running as fast as Fuller. He comes up on car number 9, the Eddie DeHunt car, and the number 3 of Doug Heberot. That was a car that started up front and now doing a little bit on asphalt.
Andy Romano, of course, you and I as Little Shavers remember him running here when the Stafford Speedway was one of the premier dirt facilities on the NASCAR Tour and one of the first tracks, one of the first weekly racetracks, we should say, to fly the NASCAR banner back in the 1950s. Meanwhile, 61 laps are posted on the leaderboard here at the Stafford Motor Speedway, and you just saw the leader, car number 44, Reggie Ruggiero. Right now, off the turn, here comes the 1. Right behind him, Ellington, Connecticut's Tom Bowles in the 76. As they
pretty tame currently on the racetrack. A little further back in the field, Mike Stefanik is picking them off one at a time. Jamie Tomato with car number U2 is also running very, very strong. Now we see Rid Patchen and the number 97 of Andy Romano. Those are 2 cars which we refer to as pick cars. They are not running as fast as car number 1, and they could become a problem there. Tommy Bowles is taking advantage of that situation as you see Hirschman go around the number 97. And here's Tommy Bowles to follow him through as they continue to work their way through lap traffic with 65 laps now showing on the Winston Racing Series scoreboard.
Glancing around the racetrack.
On the front straightaway, it is Richie Gallup with car number 50. He is a regular in the Winston Racing Series Modified division. He has spun to the inside of the racetrack, and now we have another caution in the event. It will come out on lap number 66 from pit road. Car number 69, once the leader of the event. Brian Ross is into the pit area. Tony Hirschman with the number 1. The 76 of Tommy Bowles. The 36 of Mike Iwanitsko. Mike Stefanik, car number 16. 21 of George Kett. 3 of Doug Heberot. The 90. 25, 7, and the number 15.
And this is where all the action is right now.
And is also into the pits. Teddy Christopher, car number 37. White flag is now being given to the field. That's an indication that next time they should be ready for the green. Here's unofficially how we see them as they are. Is the 55 of Jeff Fuller. Unofficially in the third spot is car number 77 for Ricky Fuller. Fifth spot is Donald Satchworley with car number 4. As we go to green off turn number 4, here's Ruggiero to bring him back to the line. And here comes the 77 of Ricky Fuller going around a lap notable now.
Reggie Ruggiero, car number 44, the Teddy Bear Pools machine, deep into turn number 3. Reggie has certainly shown his dominance as he's able to open things up immediately with that car and brings them back across the line. Mario Fiore, master mechanic, has shown that he knows how to set up a race car for any track, but particularly here at Stafford. Mario has no peers when it comes to setting up a car for the Stafford Speedway. The man
knows the combination. Many have tried to find it, but he is among one of few that seems to be able to get it no matter what it takes to get the job done. He can muster up enough. Car number 97, Andy Romano spins. He pulls down to the center of the infield. Down the back straightaway, it is Jeff Fuller who moves alongside of Larry Moore. We believe Moore is at least 1 lap down, as now Jeff Fuller has nothing but clean racing room between him and the number 1 car.
Fuller, of course, has run so well in so many races recently, only to come up short in the end. And his entire team would really love to be able to put that number 55 into victory lane. He's got a long way to go, however, as you can see the distance between Fuller and Ruggiero as they go by the start-finish line.
No question about it. He is closing up the gap, but so is his brother Rick Fuller, who is also threading his way to the front of the field. Challenge is already on. Car number 9, Eddie DeHunt, is now being pressured by Jamie the Jet Tomato. Tomato goes to the outside, picks up the spot. Here comes Donald Satchworley. He moves into the hunt. Tommy Bowles, Bruce D'Alessandro, all now contending among the top 10.
What a battle we've got going back in the back. There's Brian Ross. He is running with the likes of George Kent, the 16 of Mike Stefanik, and a host of other top competitors, including the 3 of Doug Hebron. Hebron had run into trouble earlier. He is off the pace of the leaders, but now he is running right with them, and Hebron would like to get to the back or to the front of the pack and be able to try to make that lap up. Meanwhile, back up front, Reggie Ruggiero, he is the man of the hour, and he has now almost a half straightaway lead over car number 55, Jeff Fuller. There's Reggie off of turn number 4, all by himself.
The battle of the Fuller brothers is also starting to shape up. Rick Fuller is starting to move in a bit on brother Jeff Fuller, who sits in second. Now, both of these individuals started out driving for one team at the start of 1989 and have ended up driving for another team. These are 2 independently backed groups, and they are showing a lap show on the Winston Racing Series scoreboard. Here's unofficially how they stand. We believe it's Reggie Ruggiero still the leader of the event. Jeff Fuller still running in second. Third is still the number 77, and that is Rick Fuller.
Coming back up through the front is the 21 of Kent, the 16 of Stefanik, as they play a little bumper tag off of that second turn, and of course the 69 of Brian Ross, the early race.
DeHunt is a little off the pace. We believe he is 1 lap down, and the story can best be applied for car number 19 too. But look at Hirschman, skillfully picking them off one at a time. That Bob Bruno racing engine is really providing some magic here for him as he heads to the front of this pack.
82 of 200 circuits complete in the Coca-Cola 200 here at the Stafford Motor Speedway. Some of the drivers that certainly need to be mentioned here are the 7th, Tom Baldwin, in very quickly for a pit stop and is moving very, very quickly towards the front of the pack. The same can be said for Wayne Anderson. Now, Wayne had some problems early in the event. He was able to get them squared away. He is back on a roll. So at this stage of the game, it is anybody's guess. Next time by 85 laps, 115 left to run.
With 115 laps to go, Jeff Fuller drives a smooth race and setting in position number 2. Reggie Ruggiero has built himself up a comfortable lead, and he almost looks like he's going for a beautiful Sunday afternoon drive. He is out in front. No one has been a contender to him at all during the first 85 laps, with the exception of Brian Ross with car number 69. And speaking of Brian Ross, he too has worked his way back among the top 10 cars. He is currently maybe in the 9th or 10th position and is coming to the front of it. They look like the cars would be hard to steer, but these cars have power steering. They're not difficult to steer whatsoever. We've got a problem. Over in turn number 2, we've got a problem. It is car number 38 for Eddie Spires. The number 9 of Eddie DeHunt perhaps has stopped just before the Spires situation, and car number 50 for Richie Gallup. Those 3 cars set stopped on the racetrack. It appears that the Spires cars is the car that suffered the most damage. The DeHunt number 9 apparently stopped just before the melee developed. And car number 50, Richie Gallup, the independent George Kent. 77 of Rick Fuller, the number 55 of Jeff Fuller, Eddie DeHunt's number 9, and the number 10 of Ed Flemke Jr.
Pat?
All right, that last accident, it was Eddie Spears sustained the majority of the problem. The front end tie rod's going on that car.
But the leader is car number 76 from Ellington, Connecticut. That is Tommy Bowles. He is actually what appears to be the 3rd car on the racetrack, but he is running in position number 1. Behind him in the number 90 of Bruce D'Alessandro, 9 for Brian Ross. Then it looks like the 36 of Ivanitsko and the 75. Here's the lap traffic. The leader follows them as they come to green.
91 laps now up on the scoreboard, and we're back under green. It is right now the 76 of Tom Bowles that is setting the pace directly behind the 63 of Larry Moore. There is Tommy going into turn number 3 right now with the red, white, and blue AMC Jeep Renault machine as he works his way down the front straightaway. Now, Bowles very early in the going ran right up front. On his tail is the veteran out of Rocky Mount, Virginia. That is Satch Worley, who has been driving with the Bob Garbarino team for 2 seasons now, and Worley certainly has got that car hooked up as they exit turn number 4.
Not enough can be said about the man that sets in position number 3. You talk about the little train that could. He is running a car that he has run all season long. They only had 1 engine for this team. They wound up in the top 5 in the Winston Regional point standings, and that is Bruce D'Alessandro out of East Hartford, Connecticut. Not only is he a champion at Riverside Park Speedway, but now he runs 3rd on the racetrack, and he is not letting Tommy Bowles or Satch Worley get out of his sight. He too can't be counted out in the start-finish number 90.
Those first 3 cars run bumper to bumper. In fact, you could see contact made that time between the 76 of Bowles and the 4 of Worley as they head back to turn number 3. Tom Bowles has certainly learned his way around this racetrack over the years. Satch Worley has not done too badly either, as he has managed to come up from the south and get a very good handle on this speedway very, very quickly.
It is still the number 76 to set the pace at the front of this field. Tom Bowles is the leader of the pack. Satch Worley has tested the waters a bit with Tom Bowles, but he has been unable to make the big dive that would give him position number 1. We'll try to recap and tell you how they stand currently. The leader is car number 76 for Tommy Bowles. Second is Satch Worley, car number 4. Third spot is Bruce D'Alessandro, the number 90. And in the 4th spot, it is car number 16 for Mike Stefanik. 5th spot, the number 69 of Brian Ross. Then in the 7th spot, it is Mike Iwanicko. 8th is Carl Pastriak. 9th unofficially could be Kenny Bouchard. And 10th might be Stephen Hart with car number 81.
Black flag has just been issued to, we believe, car number 10, Ed Flemke. And he is running way down low on the racetrack. We'll have to find out what the problem is with that machine. We are just now 3 laps from the halfway mark here in the Coca-Cola 200 at the Stafford Motor Speedway, a Sunday afternoon, October number 1. And it is a beautiful day and a truly great NASCAR Modified Tour event going on here at Stafford. Exiting turn number 4. There's your leader, car number 76, Tom Bowles, with a beautiful shot down this long 500-foot straightaway into turn number 1. Bowles with Don Satch Worley right directly behind him at car number 4. Keep in mind, however, if you're just joining us, that a lot of the early leaders took the opportunity to pit on one of 2 earlier cautions, and they are on their way back through this pack. We don't believe that Bowles nor Worley, neither one has pitted yet.
Well, car number 16, Mike Stefanik, has visited the pit area on 2 occasions. So has it Brian Ross. They've discovered the magic in the right combination of the tires. And now look for car number 36. That's Mike Iwanicko, front runner from the Riverhead Raceway. He has won a couple of tour events this season. He has now also moved in, and he is not letting Brian Ross or Mike Stefanik get out of his sight. There's Satch Worley testing the waters just a bit. He makes it bid down underneath Tommy Bowles, but Bowles is definitely running a smooth race. He is still the leader of the event. Further back, Reggie Ruggiero is picking them off one at a time, and he runs like gangbusters. So does Rick Fuller and Jeff Fuller. Also, they are running kind of in a pack and trying to get to the front of this field.
Then with 102 laps complete now, let's just take a look at the point standing.
8th is Hirschman, 9th is the number 25 of Ken Bouchard, and 10th the number 44 of Reggie Ruggiero.
We've been talking about Reggie and Tony and so on and so forth, but let's certainly not count out Tommy Bowles. Now, Tom has won on the Modified Tour. Not this year. In fact, his best finish this year is a 2nd, and he's gathered that twice. But he has been a winner of the Modified Tour, and he could very easily prove to be the winner here today. He is running very strongly. The car is hooked up very nicely, and Bowles seems to be able to run away from Satch Worley.
Well, that victory came a year ago in Jennerstown, Pennsylvania. The temperatures were around 120 degrees that day, and Tommy Bowles said it was worth every bit of it to secure his first NASCAR Modified Tour event. He lost about 20 pounds, but he went home with a lot of cash and something that he will cherish for the rest of his life.
We just had a change in position. Brian Ross, who was the early race leader, just went by Bruce D'Alessandro. So Ross is now up into the 3rd spot with car number 69. There he is as he comes off the turn. That's the red car with a white hood. And Ross has now moved in to challenge Satch Worley for 2nd, and he'll be knocking on the door of the Satch man very, very shortly.
Well, car number 37 that you see in your picture, that is a lapped automobile. That is Teddy Christopher. That's the Enfield Motorsports machine. It is not running with those front pack of cars. That's why you'll see Christopher run to the inside and let the faster cars take over their spots in the outside groove. Brian Ross has pitted, come from the back of the pack. He is definitely quick. And look at that Mike Iwanicko with car 36. We were telling you about him earlier. He is coming on like gangbusters. He is now reeled in on Mike Stefanik. If Stefanik is thinking of the points, he better pick up the pace just a bit more.
For Satch Worley, and here's Brian Ross. Brian right behind him, the 69. Brian will look to the inside. Keep in mind that car handles exceptionally well down low. Look at Brian be able to keep that car right down to the bottom of the racetrack, never flinch a bit. But he does need a little more momentum coming off the corner if he's going to make the move from the low groove.
Meanwhile, you look back, there's a battle going on for 4th that is equally as impressive. Car number 36, Mike Iwanicko, tries to move down underneath Bruce D'Alessandro. Iwanicko runs the bottom groove. D'Alessandro is hung out to dry on the outside. He cannot maintain his spot, and look who's back into the hunt. Hirschman and Ruggiero are also on the move. Now Hirschman goes to the bottom of D'Alessandro, dropping D'Alessandro just out of the top 5.
We've got all 3 of the top 3 contenders right up in the front of this pack, and we've got a real battle shaping up now for second as Brian Ross made the move successfully underneath Satch Worley, just coming off of turn number 4. They're back to turn 2 now, and there's Ross. He is closing very quickly on the rear bumper of our leader. Look at that move, down low, turn 3. Tommy Bowles holding on. Here comes Brian Ross to the inside. They exit turn number 4. Back to the line, it is Ross by a bumper.
Brian Ross made it look so easy as he powered his way to the inside. That performance technology engine really has the horsepower. Tom Bowles is forced to settle for second. It gives him a little bit of breathing room there. He has led this event for several circuits, but Brian Ross, the leader of the field at the start of the event, is now back in command. Donald Satch Worley still continues to try to work over Tommy Bowles, who's set in second, but Ross, once by Tommy Bowles, is literally starting to pull away. The Ed Close Racing Enterprises number 69 is definitely quick at the front of the field.
A couple of weeks ago at Pocono, following the race where Brian finished second, he indicated that had he just had a couple more laps, the power underneath the hood of that race car was incredible, and he thought he could get up and give Hirschman a real run for his money. Unfortunately, the race was 250 laps in length, and that was it. The story was the story. But in turn number 1, he's really dicing it out with Mike Iwanitzko, the youngster off of Long Island. Around Mike and be able to get a little bit closer to the front because we're 75 laps away from the end.
Reggie Ruggiero now goes to the outside of Mike Iwanitzko. He picks up the spot. Ruggiero is on a roll, and Hirschman is not letting the blue and white pool machine get out of his sight. Back in the pack, there are several different battles going on. Dicing it up, Charlie Pastriak goes around with car number 5. There is nothing but dust and smoke down through the front straightaway area. That is Charlie Pastriak out of Lisbon, Connecticut. He got crossed up. We go to caution.
126 laps. Play 75 laps from the end of the race, and Ross dives back into the pits for the 77 of Rick Fuller.
Green flag is out. Bowles is going to lead him back to the line. The Reg is right behind him, and then it's Hirschman, and then the Fuller brothers do battle as they come on turn 4.
Back into the first turn. Reggie goes to the high side, but Bowles will not be fooled. He keeps it down low. Reggie pulls right up on the rear bumper of Tom Bowles as they head deep into turn number 3. Reggie backs out of it just a second, then closes right up tight as they head back for the main straightaway. It is Tommy Bowles with Reggie right in his rear bumper.
131 circuit show. Charlie Pastriak looks to head to the pit area. There is Tommy Bowles, the leader. Red Patchen goes around again with car number 94. He gets it fired back up. He is okay, and we are still under green. Off the 4th turn, here comes your leader, Tom Bowles, with Reggie Ruggiero right there in his back bumper. Hirschman and Jeff Fuller, all to be counted in this one. Here comes Ruggiero. He moves to the inside, stands on the throttle. The big Benz-powered race car has the power, and it takes over position number 1. Reggie Ruggiero is back in command.
Lap 132 goes to the Reg as he exits turn number 4, heads back to the start-finish line. He's now really beginning to open things up. Look at that, in less than 1 full circuit, he has about a 2-car length advantage over Tom Bowles heading down the back chute. A couple of cars we're going to have to keep a very close eye on as Reggie begins to open things up.
Job done.
Bowles has his hands full as the cars are lined up behind him as they work this half-mile racetrack. Ruggiero all by himself, but Bowles is playing bumper tag with the 1 of Hirschman as they head back to turn number 1. Hirschman is right there, as is Jeff Fuller and brother Rick Fuller behind with car number 77.
Here comes Hirschman now. He's going to make a move to the outside. Russ, he's going to try to take over second. He has put the car out there. He bobbles just a bit, stands on the throttle. It is Hirschman up to 2, but with him in the freight train comes Jeff Fuller with car number 55.
Fuller has that Hunter-powered car number 55 hooked up and is running. Remember, the Bowles machine does not have tires as fresh as some of the other competitors, and that may be the Achilles heel right now.
Off the turn, Jeff Fuller runs to the outside of Tommy Bowles. It is Fuller who's now up to the 3rd spot. Brother Rick Fuller says, if Jeff can do it, so can I. And don't count out Jamie DeMeno with car number U2. Here comes Rick Fuller. He runs to the top side of the racetrack. Tommy Bowles is forced to give the position over to Ricky Fuller as they come back to the line. It is still Ruggiero, Hirschman, Jeff Fuller, now Ricky Fuller, and Tommy Bowles.
Keep in mind that right behind Bowles is Jamie Tomeno in the U2. Then it is Mike Stefanik, Tom Baldwin, Satch Worley, and you, Gus. The 69 of Brian Ross pulls to the outside of Satch Worley. Brian Ross, believe it or not, is coming back through this pack like a man possessed, as the 69 now is set up and working the high side of the racetrack. Ross is not going to worry about passing on the low side. He'll take it any way he can, and off the second turn, Ross is running like he's on rails.
There is no question about it. There is one word that best describes the performance so far of car number 69 and its driver, and that is awesome. Wherever he puts that car, it seems to stick. High or low, it's got the power and it's got the handle, and Ross is definitely going to become a major factor as he just picks them off one at a time. He almost makes it look like the competition has stopped as he just motors on by.
I mean, Tom Baldwin is not chopped liver, and yet coming off the second turn, he made Baldwin look like he was going backwards. He's running into some very stiff competition now as suddenly Satch Worley pulls car number 4 over onto pit road. A tough break. Once again, closing stages of the race, and the Garbarino mount ends up in the pit area.
Well, the Bob Garbarino car...
And any way he can around that. Eddie DeHaan spins down the front straightaway with car number 9. It has not been one of the greatest afternoons for Eddie DeHaan, but I think it certainly is worth mentioning here that that race car is a combination of a lot of different parts put together.
Tomeno tries to keep it nice and low. Here comes Ross. We've seen him make this move on several of the competitors so far. He makes it look so easy. That car just sticks, and it has got power. As Ross comes back to the line, he picked up another victory.
Brian Ross does it like he was just riding a bicycle out here. Absolutely unbelievable. Up to the high side of the 76 of Tom Bowles. Ross now is really hooked up. He has managed to get his momentum in the high groove. And look at that car stick to the... He now comes up on the lap car of Eddie DeHaan, and Brian Ross has 51 laps left to run if he intends to get up front and challenge Reggie Ruggiero for the lead.
Number 1, Reggie Ruggiero is out in front. He is pulled away from the field. There is about...
Hirschman. Reggie is out just pretty much riding around at will here, showing that he has the Stafford Motor Speedway on this Sunday, October 1st, pretty much wrapped up and in his pocket, and barring any misfortune, Reggie should be in very, very good shape near the end of this race. However, Hirschman has his hands full, as Jeff Fuller is right there knocking on the door with car number 55. Hirschman, from time to time, is able to do what you just saw. Open it up a couple of car lengths, but suddenly, bang, there's the 55.
Each and every time around, he gets closer. He is right there as a factor. Look at him reel into the back bumper of Hirschman. Hirschman runs so smooth with that number 1 automobile. He is running right there, contending, holding on to that number 2 spot. Ruggiero is way out in front, and now we see car number 19 for Bobby Park heading down pit road. Park is in the pit area leading. There's the battle between Tom Baldwin and the number U2 of Jamie Tomeno. Now, Tomeno started this season driving the number 99 earlier, and at times it appears visually you can see some smoke that comes off the left rear wheel of car number 1. Hopefully that problem is not too severe for Hirschman. Jeff Fuller is hoping that it might be, because it could give him position number 2. Fuller is trying to close up the gap. They come up on another lapped automobile. It is the 15 of Wayne Anderson.
As well, trying to keep the ignition system in the car running. It got so warm, they even tried some glue on it. Glue melted. It was just one problem after another. Obviously, they've solved 99 and 44 100% of that problem because the car is running very, very well today. But that smoke could possibly be related to that in some way.
Well, Jeff Fuller is now got it all closed up, and he is looking to get around the Hirschman machine. Fuller, as we mentioned, he's had his share of hardship during this season. He has run well in some of the big events like the Winston 300. He has been forced out of the competition early because of mechanical problems, but he looks very, very strong here today. Tommy Bowles still trying to get back into the hunt. Charlie Pastriak is also one of the lapped automobiles, just trying to close things up just a bit.
Bruce D'Alessandro just moments ago got into some trouble off the second turn. He was able to reposition the car so that he could keep going, but it looked for a second as though D'Alessandro was in some deep trouble with car number 90. Fortunately for him, not Stafford Speedway.
Straightaway, we've got car number 77 and the number 76. It is Rick Fuller and Tommy Bowles that come together, and ironically, those were cars running among the top 6 here this afternoon.
Start that car and get going. Now, Bowles is going back out on the racetrack, but he...
Back to the line. Hirschman right there at his back bumper. Jeff Fuller sets on the third spot. Fourth is Mike Stefanik. Fifth is Brian Ross. Unofficially in sixth is Tomeno. Seventh is Tom Baldwin. And unofficially in the eighth spot looks like Stephen Clark in car number 81. Ruggiero still pulling away from the field. When we go back to green, 176 circuits are complete. Here is your leader, Reggie Ruggiero. Hirschman still running a comfortable second. Mike Stefanik and Brian Ross definitely cannot be counted out of this event. There's still a lot of good racing left.
As they head down that back straightaway, there is Hirschman in car number 1, but he's able to motor away. Jeff Fuller is able to be right there, but not able to provide a lot of competition.
Trouble now. We've got car number 9, Eddie DeHunt, who goes around in turn number 4. DeHunt goes spinning to the bottom side of the racetrack, and that brings out yet another yellow. Chin's automobile out of East Islip, Long Island, New York. 9 laps appearing on the Winston Racing Series scoreboard. Received right side rubber just a lap or so ago. He rejoins in the competition here. Now the right rear tire. Fuller, it cost him dearly. There was a lot of confusion. We're still not quite sure of all the facts that revolves around that as they go back to green off turn 4.
Bowles certainly has to scramble to try to catch up to the pack because here they come. Reggie Ruggiero back down to the line under Chris Hopkins' green flag. Reggie will lead them through turn, followed by the 16. And there it is, the 16 of Mike Stefanik. And then the 69 of Brian Ross. There you go, the top 5 all on the screen as they exit turn number 4.
And that only means one thing, that this race is going to be shaping up to perhaps the most exciting finish of 1989 here at the Stafford Speedway. The top 5 cars are all within striking distance. They are all among the fastest cars on the racetrack, and they are the cars to keep your eyes on. On to the front of the field, he goes around brother Charlie, and here comes Doug Heveron. He's trying to make up a lot of lost ground that he lost earlier in the competition. He was once one of the quicker cars out there.
The thing which is so interesting, Ben, is the fact that these cars are, and everybody makes it by. Fortunately, the yellow comes out soon enough, and Moore is able to get the car fired up again right under the
That could have been just an unbelievable situation. Moore came off the turn, then just stopped right in what we would call the power line of the racetrack. I mean, if you were coming off the second turn, you'd be wide open. And there he sat out next to the cement barrier marked M.J. Sullivan Chevrolet. Then suddenly, when the caution flag came out, he was able to fire it back up. Apparently, something must have happened to car number 63. The number 16 and 5th is Brian Ross. Then it's Jamie Tomeno, Tom Baldwin, Stephen Parks, and Mike Iwaninsko. Back to green off turn number 4. Here's Ruggiero leading the parade of front-running competitors in turn number 1.
12 laps, Ben. That's all that remains final here at the Stafford Motor Speedway. He's done it before. He wants to do it again. And Reggie will improve his point position, not by much, but at least by a little over Tony Hirschman, and he'll close the gap a little bit on Mike Stefanik. That's providing things remain as they are for the next 11 laps. But like any good modified band, you don't count on anything because it ain't over till it's over, as somebody once said.
It is car number 44 that has been the driving force at the front of this field. Brian Ross tries to muscle up the same type of steam that he had earlier in this event when he just came through the front of this field like a hot knife through butter. He was just really awesome then, but a lot of laps ago, the story is a lot different than it is right now. 190 circuits remain, 10 laps remaining in this event. It is so far been Reggie Ruggiero's race. Will he be able to hold on in the final 10?
Reggie has managed to pull ahead considerably. You saw from that last shot as they went by. However, the battle for second, third, fourth, and fifth is still almost anybody's guess at this time, as right now the one of Tony Hirschman continues to be in that second spot. In the third position, the 55 of Jeff Fuller, followed by the 16 of Mike Stefanik. That's how they run. Brian Ross rounds out the top 5 off of turn number 2. There's the Stefanik car, number 16, winner of the Winston 300 at the Thompson Speedway only a matter of weeks ago. And the current point leader on the NASCAR Modified Tour, Mike Stefanik, running 4th here at the Stafford Motor Speedway. He looks to the low side of Fuller. Can he make the move? Has to back out of it that time as they head down the back chute one more time. Fuller is able to open it up just a little tiny bit. A little deeper in the pack, Jamie Tomeno in the U2. Along with Tom Baldwin in the 7th, the 81 of young Steve Clark. Those cars run bumper to bumper. Back to the start finish line, 194 laps posted on the leaderboard, and Jeff Fuller in the 55 and Mike Stefanik in the 16, still battling out for positions 3 and 4 on the racetrack. in second spot. It is car number 1 for Tony Hirschman with Reggie Ruggiero out in front and running like he is on rails. There's Tommy Baldwin making a high move. Off the 4th turn, got a little squirrely. Jamie Tomeno in the U2 is able to hang on, and the 7 goes around. Baldwin, Iwanitsko, both cars are involved, along with what looks to be the 37 of Ted Christopher and the 3 of Doug Hevron. Now, Christopher and Hevron are able to pull away, but Mike Iwanitsko and Tom Baldwin, unfortunately, are unable to. Baldwin, as we mentioned, the last time around, coming off the 4th turn, was on the high side of the racetrack, and he got loose. Coming off the 2nd turn, Jamie Tomeno was secure in the low groove, and suddenly Baldwin ends up going around, and he collects the 36 of Mike Iwanitsko inward. Car number U2. And then directly behind the U2 is the 81 of Steve Park, followed by the 75 of Carl Pasteryak. Now, the white flag does complete its races under green. So we believe that this will be a green-white checker situation. The green flag will come out, they'll go one more time, pick up the white flag, and then it's home for glory. Here they come, back to the line, Reggie Ruggiero with 2 laps left to run. Reggie leads them into turn number 1. Look at him begin to put her away almost immediately, but we've got trouble, it appears, down in turn number 1. A lot of smoke, but that's really about all that it is. It is just a lot of smoke. As we come back to the line, the white flag is out. Let's see if we can pick up the leader and follow him around for the final circuit. Off the 2nd turn and down that back straightaway, it is Reggie Ruggiero. He's headed for home. The checkered flag about to come out. Here comes your leader off of turn number 4. The Forestville Flash Reggie Ruggiero takes down the win. Car number 1 for Tony Hirschman finishes in the 2nd spot. In the 3rd position, it is car number 55, Jeff Fuller.
It definitely wasn't an easy victory by no means. Your strategy paid off in the event. Earlier you told us that you were looking to accomplish a couple of things, and you said you'd like to go to the pit area around lap number 80. You did it on lap number 88. The magic was there. Tell us about the winning combination.
Mario had the right setup today on the tires. I didn't even want to run this race car yesterday.
As the electronic bugs have now set in, it appears as though the mic cord has been cut in half down in Victory Lane, and I guess what we will do is see if we can get all of the pictures taken down in Victory Lane, and then we'll invite Reggie up here, and we'll talk to him about his win